As a fourth-generation entrepreneur and business owner, I know the grit and grind that it takes to run a business. With Chingon SA, we're capturing stories from other local business owners and sharing them with you, our querido community of San Anto. From the culture, for the culture. Welcome, everybody, back to Chingon SA, right here in the MIG studios. This is a Serafina production. Man, I am excited about today's guest. I've known him really my whole life. He will tell you that. I'm excited to welcome Javier Leal, the el mero mero del hueso.
Sure, you're right.
West Side pride of the West Side.
Guaranteed.
Yeah.
78228.
Do you still remember our home phone number?
I sure do.
210-433-2163.
433-2163, bro. But don't dial that if you're in jail because I don't know where it's going.
Man, I've been looking forward to this conversation for a long time. I really appreciate you coming and being on the show, man.
Wow. Pretty cool, Lou. Pretty cool. Chingona Productions here. I like your style. I like what you're doing. And thanks for having me, Lou.
Yeah,
I
man.
appreciate you inviting me on and seeing what we can do.
Yeah. So the conversation today is about business owners, entrepreneurs, local to San Antonio. One of my favorite parts of what I do as an insurance agent is I get to hear stories from business owners, right? Hear their come up stories, hear their stories of grit, hear their stories of growth, and ultimately what that means for their legacy. Right. Mm-hmm. And so quite honestly, that's a conversation that I've wanted to have with you for a really long time because we're a part of an awesome legacy. I'm fourth generation business owner. You're third generation business owner. Mm-hmm. And to kind of keep that hopefully alive going forward for our future generations, that I thought it'd be great to kind of get your perspective on that. So I'm excited about the conversation, and if you're ready, let's jump in.
Well, yeah, let's do it. And I also brought a fan in case it gets hot. What I want to do, hey, I'm ready, Lou. I'm ready, dude. I'm ready.
It's going to get hot in here.
It's getting hot in here already. Let's go.
So my first question to you, man, this has been a burning question of mine for a really, really long time. Texas A&I Kingsville graduate, Vato. Then you go on to Our Lady of the Lake. Uh-huh. To obtain a master's in sociology?
Social work.
Yeah. How the hell did you become an insurance agent, Vato?
Man, that's a good question, Lou. Actually, that is a really good question. And I tell you what, I remember my dad leaving the house, and he would go. He would sit on the bed, in the bed, in the front of the bed, and he would put on his socks. Right, his dress socks. He'd put it on, and then he would put on his little boots, bro. He had little boots. He had the little boots because he had the little boots.
He got them at Penners. He got them at
Penners, man.
The zip up
on the side, leather, bro. The real deal, Holyfield, legit style, guaranteed. So, and he would go off, man. And it was during the day, and he would go off, and it was probably during the summer. I was home, and he would come back, with like calendars. He would come back with calendars, and he'd put them on his desk. He had a desk, and he'd put on the calendars, and I was like, where did this guy go? Well, my dad, where did you go, Dad? Oh, I went to go see the insurance man. The insurance man. I was like, okay. So I always had that, and I'm like, man, what about this insurance man? And what does the insurance man do? I was like, nah, the insurance man, you can't do nothing. Forget about it. Well, that always had stuck in my mind. But so going back to graduated from, 210-78228, Holy Cross style, first of all.
That's right.
You can't forget the HC Knights. And then from there, we go to Texas A&I.
Class of 93.
Class of 1993. Todavía estoy joven. I'm still a young pup, okay? Still learning. Anyway, so Holy Cross, went to Texas A&I in Kingsville. Truly and honest, man, we didn't know anything about college. We didn't know anything about what's next.
First generation college student.
Yeah. First generation, man. I was the youngest of 12 kids.
Yeah.
And I was the first one to end up going, to college. knowing in my mind that I needed to do something. I didn't know what I was going to do.
Right.
So I, went to Texas A&I just because it was something that somebody else was doing. And you know what? Well, I'll jump on that.
Yeah.
And then 2 or 3 other friends jump on it. So we all went. So it was like a group of 4 or 5 of us.
Gotcha.
We went to Texas A&I. And I've always been strong. Hey, finish what you start.
Right.
Finish what you start. And so I did. I finished at Texas A&I, graduated in 97, and then from there went on to Our Lady of the Lake, you mentioned. Mm-hmm. Got my master's degree in social work. I knew that I needed to, I was in the social work, I was in the social work field. I was doing, nonprofit work.
Yeah.
Nonprofit work.
Now, at the time, you got littles. You had little kids. You were married.
Man, that's crazy.
Yeah, but how do you go from that to saying, I want to forget about everything that I learned in school, went to school for, paid big bucks for, to starting your own business?
I'm still paying for it right now, bro. I'm still paying for it right now.
Are we all? Are we all?
Okay, that's a really good point. That's a really good point. Here's the deal, though, yes, I had little ones, man. I remember having my daughter sitting on top of the table, me reading my books for my master's I can vividly remember those pictures, and it was something that I just I just had to do. I was already working full time, going in the evening to get my master's program, and I accomplished that. Okay, one of the funny things you mentioned is that you say, well, you learn that and then you forget about it. However, what I do right now is a true direct correlation between what I learned in school. It's called financial social work.
Sure.
And that's what I call it, because that's really what it is. When I'm talking to somebody, I'm really finding out a little bit more about what's going on in your life. What can we do in the insurance realm to help you meet those needs, fill the gaps, and make sure you're protected? So that's what I call it, and that's what I feel like has been, my success, really. So,
and I mean, I witnessed that, right? I mean, you and I worked together for 2.5 years. You got me into the insurance business, right? I was in the banking business for 9 years, wanted to get out, but had no idea what I wanted to do. And you brought me in, showed me the ropes, and now here we are today, right?
Wow.
But kind of going back to, so not necessarily like why insurance. I think the question that's important to kind of hone in on is that you had a career path, right, that was outlined for you. You had because of your degree and kind of where you were going with that, but you left all that behind and decided to start a business from scratch, and completely different than what you studied for. What gave you the courage, to do that, right? Because I think there's a lot of people out there who maybe are kind of dipping their toe, maybe doing a little side hustle, and who are worried about starting something fresh, something new.
That's a good point.
What gave you the ganas to do that? You know what I mean?
Yeah. I know exactly what you're talking about. Now it reminds me, and going back to, the point where, like you said, side hustle, right? I was working full time. I was working for Baptist Child and Family Services. I was a counselor. I was working for, doing this full time during the day, and I got introduced to the insurance business by a buddy of mine. We were actually playing softball. He starts telling me a little bit about it, and I start talking to him about it, and so I actually started doing it on the side myself. And that's kind of how I got introduced to it, working with educators, and from there I got licensed with my Group 1 license, and I was selling life insurance and annuities. Side hustle, bro.
Yeah.
Side hustle.
Yeah.
So then from there, I saw the potential, man. Entrepreneurship is in our blood.
Yeah.
It's in our blood.
100%.
Coming from Mr. Rudy Leal, going to Mrs. Herminia Leal, which is the staple, and she's the foundation, to be honest with you. She's the one that actually is the strongest person in that team, because it's her foundation that actually you're able to sprout from.
Yeah.
So it was her foundation, and I can remember her selling clothing, dude. She had like a thrift store in the garage, bro. She had a thrift store, dude.
It wasn't even a fully enclosed garage. It was a carport.
It was a carport. Yeah. It was a carport. And I think my dad built it because he always knew that there was a lot of hail.
Yeah.
By the way, we had two, hail at Kerrville here, Stone Oak, a lot of hail. Yeah. Chingo hail. And so he built that carport maybe for that. Then in that carport would turn into a thrift store. Yeah. People would come every day. Yeah. Hey, she would be like, that's fine. Grab whatever you want. Just leave the money there. She'd come. She would find dimes, quarters and the dollars and stuff like that, bro. That's crazy. Yeah. Entrepreneurship is in our blood. So that has always, and I've always had a side hustle, man. From the day that I was going to elementary, my mom packed me tacos. Mm-hmm. And I told her, please, I found out that other people wanted these tacos that I was eating. Yeah. Well, I wanted their sandwich, dude. My buddy Jaime always had peanut butter and jelly, dude. I always wanted his peanut butter and jelly, dude. And so it turned out that I was able to saw an opportunity and meet the gap, meet the need. The need was, hey, these vatos want tacos, and I'm going to fill that need. $1. Mom, pack me 2 or 3 extra tacos. She would pack me 2 or 3 extra tacos. I would sell them. Dude, I would bring her the feria back. Yeah. I would bring her the money back. That's hers. So I think again, it's just in our blood. It starts from there. And little by little, you start kind of developing, what is it that you want to do? Well, what is it that you're good at? One of the things that I feel very comfortable with is just talking with people and helping people, in different ways. And in our way, as a State Farm agent, providing, insurance and financial services, we really help people, especially when you see somebody, when you sell a life insurance policy, and then they pass away. Oh, yeah. And you can deliver a check to that family. Yeah. Wow. That's impactful, bro. And that's right here. You can touch it. You can smell it. It's tangible. Yeah. Because what we sell is intangible. Right. What we sell is a promise. Right. And boy, you better believe that I work for a company, and I'm sure you do too, that we're going to deliver on the promise. Absolutely. And the promise is to take care of you. That's why we collect those premiums. So anyways, going back to that, I always felt like I always was doing something. So being in the nonprofit world, I saw that, there was some sort of ceiling. There was some sort of ceiling. And what is it within yourself that you're going to be able to do something outside that ceiling? Well, you really got to go in business for yourself, sir.
Yeah. One of the things I remember you always used to tell me, and I hated when you said this, and maybe this is the first time I'm admitting this to you, but one of the things you would always tell me when I would talk about going out on my own, when I would talk about, becoming my own boss, you would always tell me, you're never going to know what it's like until you're sitting on this side of the desk. And man, I cannot tell you how impactful that has been for me and my business and my growth as a business owner. We can sit here and talk about these stories all day long and what it's like to be a business owner and all that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, anybody who's going out and wanting to be their own business owner, wanting to be their own boss, they can. It's like Michael, what's his name? Mike Tyson said, everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face. Right. And so you can plan and plan and plan, and you can have these big ideas about what, maybe business ownership looks like for you. But at the end of the day, when you get into the nitty gritty of it, it doesn't always work out that way. And you've got to be willing to kind of bob and weave, right?
Bob and weave.
Right.
Up and down, side to side.
Yeah. So what are some of the biggest challenges that you're facing right now as a business owner, and how are you navigating them?
So the biggest challenge that I have, and it's essentially a personal challenge of mine that I have never, it's just hard to get away from, just because of, I think, there's a lot of dynamics I think that go into this, is that it's hard for me to delegate a lot of stuff, man. And I feel like it's not going to get done the way I want it to. And sometimes I feel like I let that get in my way of future growth. You know, and that's certainly a potential a negative on my part, because do you see the trees from the forest? Can you see the trees from the forest? And can you delegate, and can you trust? And you have to let go. It's hard, man. Even I've been doing this 18, 19 years, man, and it's hard to let go. It's hard, man, because you feel like, first of all, nobody's going to do it like you are.
Yeah.
Number two is, ain't nobody going to take care of your business like you're going to take care of your business.
That's right.
So if you're not in your business and you're not, there 100%, it's going to fall apart.
Also, I think there's a trust element that comes with that, right? Like, you have to be willing to trust the folks in your office that you hire to be able to do that, exactly what you're talking about, to be able to take care of your customers. And that's hard for somebody like me, man. I'm a big control freak.
Right.
And to let go of that control and to trust somebody else is going to take care of that customer the way that I would. So how do you navigate that? What's your process on something like that?
A puros chingazos, bro. Dog, dude. Hey, sometimes you just gotta you hit the wall, dude, and you go, hey, wait a minute, you have to go this other route. I mean, at the end of the day, is you have to surround yourself with people that you can trust, right? Surround yourself with people you can trust. You have to build a good team and help make sure that your clients are taken care of, because they're the ones that pay your bills.
Guaranteed.
So we want to make sure we take care of them.
Right.
So it's a reciprocal relationship. We benefit from each other. In terms of the service that we provide and the customer service that we can give. So the one thing that I do to try to navigate that is surround myself with a good team, and little by little, opening up to the idea of adding more people to your team and making sure that you develop them. And that's one of my other, I guess, points that I can grow on is, man, I want somebody else to teach them, because I feel like I've already done this, and if I can do it, you can do it too.
Sure.
If I can do it, you can do it too. And how are you going to do it? Well, just look at me. Look what I'm doing. Well, it doesn't work like that,
right.
And that's how I think. Because if I did it, you can do it too.
Right.
So just
watch
me. Watch me do it. Well, no, hey, here there's a manual, and these are the things you say, and these are all the things. Well, that's really true, and that's really proper. And, we have to develop that. And those are things sometimes, and in a small office, I'm able to get away with that.
Right.
I'm certainly, need to build that.
Yeah.
Those are things that, of course, there's always room for growth.
Sure, absolutely. 100%. So, kind of looking back over the last 17, 18 years, what is one lesson that you wished you would have learned way earlier?
Ooh, man. So what would and it goes back to this, what we were just talking about is having faith and trust in other people, and which goes to also delegate, because I can't do it all.
Right.
No matter how much time there's 24 hours in a day, I still can't do it all.
Right.
So delegating and managing is something that I would definitely, as a business owner, recommend.
Yeah.
Because it's important time is money.
Yeah.
Time is money. So what you do with that is important.
Right. But there's also more valuable things, right? Like your family. You want to be able to spend time with those you love. You don't want to spend, I mean, sure, you might like your clients, but that doesn't mean you want to spend all day, every day with them, right? You gotta just keep focused on what matters most, which is your family.
Yeah, for sure. But don't get me wrong, man. I love my clients. Y'all can call me at javiercleal.com. You can call me at 210-699. No, I'm kidding, man. You're absolutely right, Lou. You're absolutely right, man. The beauty of our work and the beauty of being a business owner is to create something where it allows you to spend that time.
Yeah.
Without having, the corporate God say, hey, you got to time out, hey, I'm going to the restroom, you're going to see, and your computer and that, but it takes sacrifice, from the beginning. Right. It takes, courage, and it takes will and ganas and huevos.
Yeah.
You got to have them.
Yeah.
And that's, at the end of the day, man, what allows us to have that free time, because yes, I enjoy fishing. I enjoy golfing. I enjoy spending time with my wife, my kids, their sports. So those are things that we can get to do.
Yeah.
However, it's got to be taken care of too.
Sure. Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
100%. And you're absolutely right, man. One thing that, just kind of that has helped me, want to invest in people is the idea of working myself out of a job. Right. My goal is to build up the people around me, my team members, so that I don't have to be the one to do it all the time. Right.
Yes.
And I think that's kind of the same point that you're making is, get out of the way, train your people up, and then get out of the way and let them run, right?
That's the key, though, Lou. That's the problem that I have, man. I can't do that, dude. That's the problem, bro.
Yeah.
That's absolutely super on point, man. In order for you to continue,
get to the next level.
Yeah, because get yourself out of the way, train your people up. You know what? I don't want to do that. I don't, man.
And that's fine. I
could hire somebody else to do that.
Yeah. We were talking earlier before we started recording, and one of the things that we were talking about was, the idea of, what was it? We were just talking about it right before we started recording, and we said let's get into it when we were recording, and I can't remember what it was.
Don't even ask me to remember either, bro, because I'm not gonna remember. Golly.
Oh well. Anyway, it'll come back to me. So, kind of going forward, man. Like, what does your idea of legacy mean for you, right? Because you're doing this for something, right? What does that mean for you?
It's a very simple question, but super deep, right? Super deep. Because what does it mean? Honestly, I just want people to say, hey, that guy, he's a cool guy. He cared. That's the legacy.
Yeah.
That's it. That guy, he cared. I did business with him. He cared. I hung out with him. He cared. He's my husband. He cares. He's my dad. He cares. Some people might say I don't care. But that's the way it is.
Yeah, you can't please everybody.
I'm not. There's 100%, man. I'm not. I can't.
Yeah.
I can't. And that's another thing that's kind of hard to learn, right? You can't please everybody.
Yeah.
And that's been, the pleasing everybody. Number two is having boundaries. You know, that we don't learn this stuff in growing up in our 527 North San Eduardo 78228. We don't learn those things.
Yeah.
And so these are things. What is the legacy? Again, he cared. That's it.
Yeah.
At the same time, man, you know what? I want to have a good time. I'm fun. I'm cool. Some people may not think that, but that's kind of what I want.
Yeah.
It's that simple.
Yeah.
By taking care of what you need to take care of, that will happen. Yeah. That will happen.
For sure.
And it's okay to have boundaries. And if people don't want to stick around, that's okay too.
Yeah.
That's kind of hard.
Yeah,
that's
for sure.
hard.
Yeah, because, you know, I think there's people listening who may not necessarily have, you know, the cush 9 to 5, you know, Monday through Friday job that we have. There's folks that are listening that, you know, probably have, you know, after hour jobs. They've got jobs on the weekend. And how do you balance that, right? Like it's always a balancing act. How do you balance, you know, the you know, my wife, or my son rather, will tell me sometimes, Dad, why are you going to work today? Because he's off of school, right? Dude, kids these days, no, don't even get me started. Kids these days, man, they get off for everything, for every holiday.
Cesar Chavez holiday or no?
Go for it. Okay.
Get one of those, bro. Come on,
absolutely.
Man.
Yes. 100%. Anyway, every time he is off, Dad, you got to go to work today? And I tell him, somebody's got to make the money around here. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
So anyway, yeah, it's one of those things where, you know, I think people listening may not necessarily have the schedule that we have or the opportunity that we have to be able to pick and choose when we decide, you know, to take time off and enjoy those things in life. What's that balance look like for you?
Yeah, because I mean, at the end of the day, though, Tulu, you know, a lot of people, hey, you're off or do this or whatever, but man, our phones are always on.
Oh yeah,
and
that's right.
We're always either trying to help somebody in crisis, or you know, help somebody else with either a better price, a better product, and certainly something that, you know, that we're not going to turn down. So whether it's 8 o'clock at night or 7 o'clock in the morning, we're trying to, you know, delegate that, or not delegate, but you know, manage that, manage that. Yeah. And so we also have our working hours, right? But you know, afterwards, but you know, to manage that, you know, also takes time, and it also, you know, you have to set, you know, also boundaries on that too, because that was, you know, at the beginning, you know, of this career, you know, with State Farm, which happened almost 19 years ago. I mean, I was just, you know, 24/7, you know, that's what you know, that's it, you know, and that's what I, you know, woke up thinking about, going to sleep, you know, dreaming about, you know, and then, you know, it's not till recently where you can get a little bit more relaxed, but yet you get relaxed and you see trends happening and the market changes and you got to stay on top of it. Yeah. So there's no, you know, you can't lax, man. Yeah. It's your business. Yeah. Stay on it. And for me, you know, it's a balance. It is a balance. And, you know, how one does it and how one approaches it, again, going back not to, you know, bring this, you know, beat it like a dead horse, but, you know, have strict boundaries, you know. And that's kind of helped me in some ways too. Yeah. Whenever I think about what retirement looks like, right, I have no idea. No doubt. Well, I feel like, I mean, this is pretty sad to say, but I feel, not because I have to, but because I want to, I feel like I'm gonna probably die at my desk. You feel I know that way? I do, man. Yeah. I don't know why, but like, I feel like I'm gonna work until the very last. I mean, the absolute last day that I can possibly do it. Not necessarily. I don't know. You're not too far off. I mean, I feel the same way. I don't know if that is like still being in insurance. Right. I don't know what that last day looks like, but I feel like I'm gonna be working until the very last day that I'm alive.
Is that weird? Do you ever feel like?
Yeah, no, I feel like that, man. And just the other day, in fact, we had a State Farm agent. His rest in peace, BJ Kahutik.
No way.
Yeah,
he
man.
passed away?
He passed away. You remember him?
Yeah, where was he at? He was
in the medical center on Fredericksburg Road.
That's right.
Yeah. Older guy. Yeah. When I first started, the guy was in meetings falling asleep. That was 19 years ago, bro. I was like, whoa. I said, this guy needs to retire.
Yeah.
No, his wife passed away. The guy kept working.
Yeah.
You know, he had his family there, and I'm like, okay. Hey, man, maybe this guy's onto something.
Yeah.
Maybe this guy's onto something, man. You know
so
what?
he was still a State Farm agent?
Man.
Wow.
He passed away just
in his office?
I don't know where where he passed away, but figuratively, I mean,
for sure.
speaking, he died in his office because he was still working. Yeah. He was an active State Farm agent.
Wow.
When he passed away at the age of 110, I guess.
We'll fact check that.
All right. But yeah, man, I mean, so I feel the same way. I always think about this. You know, I have a little place in Rockport, Texas, and I love to fish. And I think to myself, well, maybe when I, retire from State Farm, if that's ever even an option, or if I continue it over there, or maybe I'll just do like coastal insurance. I'm starting to get my hobbies involved in my. At least I can bring in some little,
What
cash,
the next iteration of.
Yeah, it's like, well, maybe I'll, do some. I'll do some coastal insurance. Maybe I'll become the coastal insurance expert. Hey, don't take that one from me.
There you go.
Right there, man.
We're trademarking that.
The coastal man expert. Because it's hard. That's a whole different ballgame right there. But those are things that I think about in terms of because I do wonder. Bro, I'm not getting any younger, and I'm just getting older because this year in 2025, guess what? I turned 50 years old, bro.
50 years old.
Hijuela. That means that you're not too far behind me, guy.
Hey, come on, sir.
Let's not talk
about that.
So that certainly has become that's in my in my thought process.
It's you're closer to that than you are looking behind you for sure.
That's right, man. That's right. And so okay. I mean, your body feels it. You start, to start thinking about, those things, your health, because no matter how much money you have or saved or whatever, that's not going to buy you health.
Yeah.
And that's crazy. I used to hear people say that, and I'm like, okay, whatever. But yeah, man, you gotta be healthy.
Yeah.
Because if you want to get up, you want to go fish, you want to go wade fish, you want to get in the water, up and down the boat, you put the boat in the dock, do all those things, man. You still got to be healthy.
Yeah,
and sure. I got a lot of people that I look up to.
I don't know how you have the energy for all that stuff, man.
Oh man, no, I go fishing. I have my fishing mentor, Bill Hall, is 65, retired principal from North Harlandale ISD.
Yeah.
The vato has more energy than both of us put together, bro.
And
he's got 2 knee replacements.
Oh my God.
He doesn't care. He walks every day. And the guy wade fishes and catches the most fish that you and I have ever caught. Will ever catch.
Yeah.
Then my other 2. Wait, one more story about that. My other 2 guys that I go fishing with, Carter and Chip. These dudes. One of them is 78 years old. The other one's 82. Salty guys.
Yeah.
Deep sea fishing. You got to have sea legs, sir.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I have that to look forward to.
100%.
And I have those to show me the way and to say, these guys can do it. Javier Leal needs to stay healthy to do this too.
Yeah.
And these guys are, and they've accepted Javier Leal.
Yeah.
They're cool dudes, man. And they've showed me the way. And that's what inspires me to continue to do that too.
That's awesome.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, this has been a super fun conversation. I really appreciate it. And I hope that the folks listening or watching have taken just a little bit, a little nugget of truth and knowledge, and hopefully it encourages somebody in their path, whatever that might look like. So, man, thanks so much for coming on the show with me. And if you want to contact Javier, what's the best way for them to reach out to you?
210-699-1616. 210-699-1616. Javier Leal, JavierCLeal.com.
JavierCLeal.com.
C stands for Campos. That's my mom's maiden name, Campos. Yeah. And I'm glad that we actually got through this without like getting teary-eyed because we're criers, bro. We're criers, man. And I'm glad that it didn't happen. Yeah. That's why I did bring the fan. And I'm glad that I didn't have to use it, man. I'm glad. Yeah, so good. Thank you, Lou. I appreciate you having me on, man. And I appreciate the fact that we did not cry.
Yeah, 100% agree with that statement. Thanks so much for coming on, Javier. Thanks so much for tuning in, everybody. Be sure to like, subscribe, and follow us on all social media channels at ChingonSA.com. This has been a MIG Studios and Serafina Digital production. See you guys next time.